Shalom, how's everyone doing? I just want to say, first of all, we have um, studies every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on the app Zoom. We also have a debate coming up February the 9th, 3 p.m. I believe it's February 9th. It's the 2 Saturdays from now. 3 p.m. It's going to be Family of God, Mr. Bell against Israel Kingdom Builder, aka uh, pretty much Christianity against Hebrew Israelite, dealing with the second coming of Christ. Was it past or was it in the future? So it's not going to be a heated debate. It shouldn't be a heated debate. We want everybody to be respectful. We're going to have children there, elderly people there. Please don't come with your attitudes. We want to keep it a godly environment. We want some edifying to go on. I see how some of our people act, during these debates and very disrespectful on both ends. So hopefully that we can act like kings and priests and grown folks and actually have a good time. So now let's get into this. All about Christ. Uh, all about Christ. First thing I want to hit, and I don't know how long I got because they have been working on my load for a second. So now Revelation 20 real fast. And Revelation 20 and 14. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. So now, we say that, with our understanding of the scriptures, that Revelation has been fulfilled. So if Revelation has been fulfilled during the first century, during the destruction of the temple, that means death and hell has also been destroyed. So where can we go to see that death has been destroyed? Well, it's right here. The famous John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. So, it's impossible to perish if you have Christ. If you believe on Christ, if you believe on the cross, if you believe on the gospel, you will not perish. You will have that everlasting life. And don't forget that Revelation is actually about the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John. Don't forget that Revelation is only about Christ. Once you take Revelation outside of Christ and his prophecy, you are in something else. So now, let's see what I want to hit. Once again, I'm gonna touch on a few things today if I have time. But the first one is the dialogue of Justin the philosopher and martyr with Trypho a Jew. This happened around year 135 AD, which is 60 some odd years after the destruction of the temple, about 100 years after Christ's death. So these first century, this is a second century dialogue. So these people would know more of the understanding of the Jews as well as the Christians back then compared to 325 AD when Constantine got his hand in it and did what he did to it, and he united the Christian church with the pagans. So this predates Constantine. This is the original beliefs of some of the Christians. And I don't know, maybe my signals are off. It said I'm trying to go live. That's why I stopped. It said it's trying to go live. But let's keep going. I'm just gonna be talking now. Hopefully it's recording all of this. So this is gonna be one of the original understandings of the Christians, as well as the the Jews back then. So I just want to hit this dealing with Jacob. This is what chapter is that? 52, I believe. Jacob predicted two advents of Christ. And it says, and there it was prophesied by Jacob, the patriarch, that there would be two advents of Christ, and that in the first he would suffer, and that after he came there would be neither prophet nor king in your nation. In other words, he will not be a prophet or king in the nation of Israel. That's what it's saying. It's getting a little cold, so let me put up my windows. All right, so now, I proceeded that the nations who believed in the suffering Christ would look for his future appearance. We're going to touch that in just a second. And for the reason the Holy Spirit had uttered these truths in a parable and obscurely. For I added, it is said, Judah, thy brethren, have praised thee. Thy hand shall be on the neck of thine enemies. The sons of thy father shall worship thee. Judah is a lion's whelp from the germ. My son, thou art sprung up, reclining. He lay down like a lion, and like a lion's whelp, who shall raise him up? A ruler shall not depart from Judah, or a leader from his thighs, until that which is laid up in store for him shall come. And he shall be the desire of the nations, binding his foal to the vine, and the foal of his ass to the tendril of the vine. So once again, we see, first of all, the prophecy says that Judah, a ruler, will not. Oh, they already got me done. Golly. A ruler will not pass from Judah until, and in the King James Version it says Shiloh comes. So when the rulers, when the rulership or the inheritance of the ruler or the passing down or the successors of the rulers would stop when that main one ruler come, which is Christ. So after Christ, it was not prophesied that another ruler was going to come, nor another prophet outside of Christ, because Christ was the fulfillment of everything. So you cannot take anything outside of Christ. You cannot have another king, because Christ was an everlasting king, and that everlasting kingdom was given to him, according to Daniel 2 and Daniel 7. You cannot also have any more prophets outside of Christ, because the last prophecy that Christ fulfilled, according to Luke 21 and 22, was dealing with the destruction of the temple in 70 AD. So the first problem is that means today we don't have any prophets inside of the world. Also means today we don't have any prophecies in this day and time, because all of the prophecies has been fulfilled. You can't have prophecies without prophets. Everybody had a prophet and prophecies until Christ came. After Christ came, there was no more prophecies. There's no more prophets. No matter how many people want to read the Bible and twist the scriptures and take it out of its historical context, we are seeing here that the second century Christians had a better ideology on what the scriptures actually taught. They actually lived over there in the Eastern world. They was actually taught by the disciples. So we should take their testimonies or their ideology before we take somebody else's who was born 2,000 years later in the future, trying to explain to you what an Eastern mind Bible means, when they don't even understand that the Bible has idioms in it, and they think that everything is carnal or literal. So let's keep going. It said his eyes shall be bright with wine, and his teeth white like milk. Moreover, that in your nation there never failed either prophet or ruler. So he's talking to the Jew right now. This is the Christian talking to the Jew in the second century. From the time when they began until the time when this Jesus Christ appeared and suffered, you will not venture shamelessly to assert, nor can you prove it. For though you affirm that Herod after whose reign he suffered, was an Ascalonite. Nevertheless, you admit that there was a high priest in your nation, so that you then had one who presented offerings according to the law of Moses and observed the other legal ceremonies. Also, you had prophets in succession until John. So, every captivity throughout Israel's history, they always had a prophet, all the way up until John the Baptist. Even then, to when your nation was carried captive to Babylon, when your land was ravaged by war, and the sacred vessels carried off, there never failed to be a prophet among you who was Lord and leader and ruler of your nation. For the Spirit which was in the prophets anointed your kings and established them. But after the manifestation and death of our Jesus Christ in your nation, there was and is nowhere any prophet. There's no more prophets, y'all. So the people who's trying to use the Bible and say that we are the prophets today, and when they go to Revelation, when it says that the saints and the prophets was killed in the streets, and they try to make it be like it's America. No, everybody knew back then in the first, second, third century that the last prophets were during the first century or under the Roman era. No prophets exceeded 70 AD. Now, if somebody was a prophet and they lived through 70 AD, that's different. But it was no new prophets made after the time of 70 AD. I think John the Revelator might have been the last one. But today, there's no prophets in the world. Today, there's no more prophecies in the world. All has been fulfilled through Christ. You can't get past it. And everybody in the old knew it. It's just today, 2,000 years later, people are trying to rewrite Roman Catholicism and bring back this future ideology that Christ is supposed to return. But now, let's see. I think that was all I wanted. But they got me ready because I didn't think they was going to get me ready so soon, because I was wanting to hit, and I'll hit this tomorrow then. But how the stories dealing with Christ and all of the other things surrounding Christ, these was all prophecies. So the people knew the prophecies back in the days. These was not hidden prophecies. Once you go into the 12 patriarchs, you see that it was always a prophecy about Christ and all that coming. But what these pagan people did was they flipped the script and they flipped the some of the characters around, and then this is where you get your Hercules. This is where you get your Hercules and your Jupiters and whoever that guy is. And pretty much it says it right here. The devil, since he emulates the truth, has invented fables about Bacchus, Hercules, and Asclepius. I don't know who that is. Asclepius, I don't even know how to say it. But it's showing that the reason why they have these fables and it make it look like that Christ or the story of Christ is actually plagiarized, it's the other way around. Everybody back then already knew about the prophecies dealing with Christ, dealing with the nation of Israel, dealing with the war in heaven and all that stuff, and they turned it around and they made fables out of it. So that's why you have all these epic journeys of Dante's Inferno and Homer and all this stuff. You have all this stuff because they was piggybacking our culture and our prophecies. But I thought I was going to have more time today. So with that little time, hopefully I was able to demonstrate. Now, I know I wasn't able to formulate it. I didn't think they was going to be done with me so fast. They usually take 2 hours, and today they only took 30 minutes. So I don't know how that works out. But hopefully we can see that it was the ideology behind Christ's coming to the earth, his death and his resurrection and his second coming. That was the end of the Bible. That was it. There's no more future anything except the kingdom. Now the kingdom itself is steady growing. I mean, we are lively stones. It steady grows, it steady flourishes, and we have the everlasting gospel. We don't need no more prophecies. We just need the gospel. We have the instructions on how to enter into the new covenant. So we have everything we need in order to get eternal life inside of those books. Now, I also adhere to the book of Enoch because a lot of people in the old did also. Yeah, so I adhere to the book of Enoch, the book of Jasher, the book of Jubilees, the 12 patriarchs. There's some good Hebrewic, also the Apocrypha for Hebrewic literature. Not saying that it is actually inspired, but it's good Hebrewic literature to see their mindset, see the mindset of the Hebrew. You see, in order to understand the Bible, we got to step into the mindset of the Hebrews. You can't be an American in the Western mindset trying to understand what your forefathers in the Eastern world, how they thought. I mean, you should be able to tell by the dream that Joseph had. Hold on, give me one sec. Yeah, when he had the dream of the stars and the moons bowing down to him and all of that stuff, and his father was able to decipher what the dreams meant, you should realize that there was more of a symbolic culture back then. So you can't take your westernized literal ideology and try to put it on the Bible because it would never fit. So when we tell y'all everything has been fulfilled, and then y'all go through there and say, well, why come every eye didn't see him? Well, why come every knee didn't bow? Well, why come the earth didn't shake and quake? Well, why come the sun didn't turn dark? Why come the stars didn't fall from heaven? Why come the moon did not give off her lights? Stuff like that. All this stuff that we always hear. Where's the new heaven and the new earth? Where's the kingdom of heaven there? Why come people are still dying? All of this, and that. Because people try to literarize the Bible so much that they didn't actually forgot the whole point of the Bible. If it says, I'm going to say God, we can say the Father, I can say Abba. I'll just say Abba. If it says the Abba is a spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And then if Christ says, my kingdom is not of this world, if my kingdom was of this world, my servants would fight for me. So, we have one saying that the Father is spirit. Then we got another saying when Christ saying his kingdom is not of this world, which means his kingdom is spirit. I mean, you add all of that stuff, and then you got faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So you got something more dealing with the spirituality. You got in Hebrews where it said all those patriarchs that died in faith, they all died waiting on the heavenly city to come down. They was all looking for the heavenly city. So you got all of these examples about the spirituality of the Bible, and people still want something carnal. It said Christ, a two-edged sword came out of his mouth, and he smite the nations. And we know the two-edged sword represents the gospel. So it's nothing but symbolism and spirituality throughout the whole scriptures, and we want to carnalize, literarize everything. Yeah, my brother Martin, and the Edomites serving us and all that stuff, and that right there is just a lack of history. Because hold on, I got some. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me close this door. See, what they don't understand is that the Edomites actually served King David for over, what, 500 years? Well, they served under the authority of King David, as well as, the king, the Israelite kings, for about 500 years before they broke that yoke. So that has already been fulfilled, like a long time ago. And then you got the destruction of the Edomites finally by King Nebuchadnezzar. So all of those prophecies that they're looking for, it has already been fulfilled. Like in the old Tanakh, in the Tanakh, it has been fulfilled. So that's not even a new covenant thing. But even on top of that, you have them try to Americanize the entire scripture, which is once again the Easternized book. So when they see the word Babylon, they want it to be America instead of it be Babylon. I mean, Babylon was over there in the east. They were over there in the east. You have all kind of things about when it says, you'll be a stranger in the land that's not yours and you're not used to it and all that stuff. They act like that the Israelites was used to the lands that the Babylonians were ruling over. Like Israel wasn't stationed to one spot. It's like they forget that and they want to be like, well, this is us in America, which is impossible. And that's why I like what I found today when it showed that there's no more prophets. There's no more kings past Christ. There's no more. So if you can't have, and it let it be known that throughout the whole nation of Israel, there has always been a prophet for the people. So if the Most High has not given us a prophet, then that means all prophecies are gone. We gotta think. We gotta quit letting these people teach us fairy tales, because that's why it's so hard to grasp the concept of the Bible, because they didn't fairy tale the Bible into a point where of no return. And once you see so many of our people, like for the debate, you see so many of our people talking about how we're going down and Christianity this and that. And I'm like, man, look how much waking up we got to do, because somebody has fed people so many false ideas about the Bible. A brother told me today when I was telling him that they was waiting on heavenly. They was actually waiting on heavenly Jerusalem, because he asked me, if everything's been fulfilled, then why come we're not in the land? And I was telling him we are in the land, actually. And I told him, I was telling him that we got to understand that the land that they were waiting on was not a piece of dirt. It was the heavenly land. And I pulled the Hebrews to show him. But before I pulled the Hebrews to show him, he told me that I talk like I'm in a fairy tale. I'm fairy tale talking. So when I showed him what the scripture said, he never responded back. But the point is, when the Bible is fairy tale talking, and you feel like your ideology, which is not biblical, is the truth, then we have a problem. Because now you're viewing the Bible as a fairy tale. And you think that you understand more than what the prophets understood. So we're just here trying to wake people up, man, and get them back on track. And, it's not everybody, it's not really their fault. The leaders, they only had to work with so much information. Our people never were big researchers. We found out the information, and we could prove that Negroes could be, in fact, descendants of the Israelites. But we never went in there to actually find out those idioms in the Bible, or those metaphors, the personification. We found out about bloodline, but we never find out the point or the information of the Bible. And that's where we suffer as a people. All that stuff is good and dandy, but if you don't know what the Bible actually teaches, then you have a problem anyway. So the real fairy tale is telling people that they're finna get slaves. The real fairy tale is telling people that even though this is an Easternized book, and we see all these Easternized names, it's not talking about those Easternized places, but it's talking about the Western world. It's actually talking about America. It's actually talking about you and me today. Even though the Bible had a specific audience, and even though we're reading a dialogue between different parties, they try to teach that those parties are irrelevant, and the information is really not for those parties that were receiving it, but it was for us 2,000 years later outside of the land that ain't did no sacrifices in 2,000 years. We don't know we only know like 30 of the 613 laws, statutes, and commandments. It's crazy. It's crazy what we done taught our people, and they believe it. And then the people who actually understands how crazy it is, they go to the country community, and then they get in that fantasy talking about some, well, we're Egyptians, really. So it's all screwed up. Well, hopefully we're here to make some waves. That's all. But let me get off this thing. I gotta go. Sorry I wasn't able to get into it like I wanted to. But tomorrow, everything should be back on point. And I'm going to be bringing out some information. And hopefully tomorrow I can start hitting on some of the historical settings behind the book of Revelation. I've been hitting up the New Covenant for a while, so I want to go through some historical settings behind the book of Revelation. And when I'm done with that, then I'll come back to the dialogue between the second century Christian and the second century Jew. But tomorrow, it's time to tackle Revelation and to see what actually Revelation teaches. And can we find any historical backings to prove that Revelation actually happened in the past and it's not a future prophecy? That's what I'll be doing tomorrow. Thank y'all for listening. Shalom.